William Crotch from Norwich, who from 3 was giving public organ recitals. But none of the British infant prodigies could match the talent of a young Austrian who arrived in London one day in April of 1764. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was just 8 when he arrived in the capital. He was accompanied by his brilliant sister Nannerl and their father Leopold, a court musician from Salzburg who realised that he could earn more money from his children's musical talents than his own. They lived frugally in a bid to make some serious money. Mozart's lodgings were at the home of a corset maker called Thomas Williamson, here on Frith Street in Soho, one of London's dingiest areas at the time. It was crammed full of workshops, living quarters with bodies piled in on top of one another. But the Mozarts did experience the opulent side of London life too, shunted between some of the capital's smartest addresses. The boy became a sensation in London as audiences were captivated by his seemingly effortless, God-given talents.
What Mozart could do was absolutely astonishing. There were lots and lots of child prodigies. But even the best child prodigies could not do what Mozart did.
How much do we know about the kind of tests that he underwent in public, the kind of tricks he was expected to perform when he was on stage here in London?
What you find is a series of concerts at which Mozart is asked to improvise on a theme that someone gives him from the audience. Sometimes he's given a violin part and he has to improvise a piano part to it. He has to play the keyboard with the keyboard covered by a handkerchief so that he can't actually see the keys. So there are lots of tricks of that sort, but there are also tests of genuine and serious musical skills. And people recognized Mozart's uniqueness and his specialness at the time, and almost immediately he became the model for what a child prodigy could or ought to be.
Mozart was examined by a leading scientist and member of the Royal Society, and became the subject of a learned paper on the nature of genius. Then, just as his son was becoming the talk of the town, Leopold fell ill, catching a severe throat infection. The family moved to Chelsea, then in the countryside, for a good dose of fresh air. The children were under strict instructions. There was to be no noise, no music. Mozart wasn't allowed to play his violin or practice the piano, and so the 8-year-old began writing symphonies. Even in his first symphony, Mozart's musical fingerprints are there. The dynamic feeling of forward motion, the joy, risk and adventure. I think you can hear that this is the composer who goes on to write operas like The Marriage of Figaro, masterpieces like the Jupiter Symphony. And yet, some people have questioned whether he actually wrote this at all. There is obviously a lot of speculation that the early Mozart symphonies are co-written, slightly edited, slightly improved by his father.
I don't think that Leopold had much to do with it. If you look at that piece, it's very simple. He was 8 at this time. I mean, 5 years later he wrote Mithridate, this extraordinary piece. There's no reason why he couldn't have written this piece.